Earlier this week, we talked about Fat Joe's interview with Wendy Williams, where she said she will not watch Sherri Shepherd's new talk show. Sherri responded by saying, I'm truly concerned for her because I don't feel like there's anybody over there protecting her. Now, following Sherri's calls for prayers for Wendy, Wendy told Entertainment Tonight, I have tons of support around me and I'm working on projects. She added, I would love to have the chance to actually sit down and with Sherri Shepherd and meet and speak to her. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Wendy and Sherri having a conversation and maybe even on her show? Well, their show, Sherri's show. Al, what do you think?
This doesn't sound right to me. Something about this it's just weird. I'm confused. Why would she want to have a sit down with Sherri Shepherd on the old Wendy Williams show? I'm just not understanding this press here. It sounds like to me that Wendy Williams' team is trying to clean up that Fat Joe interview and the back and forth between Wendy and, the back and forth that Sherri shared about Wendy and Wendy shared about Sherri. Because if those two women wanted to talk, they can pick up the phone and call each other. Like Norman knows both of them, got both of their numbers. He can coordinate that. The managers can, the publicists can, the agents can. I just don't understand what would be the purpose of those two sitting down and what would they be talking about. For me, I think the first thing that needs to happen for Wendy and her team and her coming back, whether it's a different show or somewhere, number one, we need to work on Wendy getting her money right and getting that Wells Fargo block off. And I think the best way to make that happen is Wendy needs to stop talking, because the more she talks, the more she seems like she is not in control and does need a conservatorship in order to handle her funds. That's number one. Number two, I think if you're really on Wendy's team, they need to also stop her from talking and doing press, because if she's got a deal coming down the pipe, like, they need to wait till it's sealed and signed before she starts talking and sitting down with people, because I just feel like the more she talks, the more she seems unstable to us. And who wants to close a deal with someone that's unstable, mentally or physically, right? Like, why would you invest $100 million? And we've noticed from Hollywood Unlocked, you remember I mentioned months ago that there was a podcast on the table worth $100 million. Who's going to invest $100 million in someone who's not mentally and physically stable? So that's number two. I don't know.
That interview helped Sherri Shepherd's show. It will be huge ratings for Sherri Shepherd's show, but I agree with you. I don't think it'll be beneficial for Wendy.
It'll be good for her.
Q, what do you think about this?
Well, first, y'all making a very dangerous assumption, and that's the assumption that she wants to do a sit-down on-camera interview on Sherri's show. She just said sit down and talk to Sherri. That could mean on the telephone. That could mean via text message. To Al's point, Norman or Suzanne can make that happen. But the reality of the situation is Sherri Shepherd benefits not one iota of anything talking to damn Wendy Williams. Girl, I already got your job. I already got your time slot. And they have gone and retrofitted your time slot to fit me. So what I need to sit down and talk to you about? No, right. To Al's point, you need to go sit down with your therapist and you need to go sit down with Wells Fargo to get your money unsold up or whatever.
You don't think that'll be big for ratings to see these two? Because people assume that there's beef.
Well, I think it would be big for ratings, but Wendy Williams is not that big of a person to give Sherri Shepherd that. I would never sit down on nobody's show who essentially took my dog on
my spot.
I wouldn't either.
And who's going to do? Wendy ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? And then too, if Wendy did agree to come on that show, they better damn pre-record it, because if she was anything like me, she's going to get on there and say hi and play all nice in the beginning and then show her ass and walk off. You know what I'm saying?
She's going to do like how Omarosa did her on the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, like what would, honestly, Claudia, if you were in that situation, what would you talk about? Who would interview you? Who?
You would have to go in there with the intention of having your moment. Like you were probably going to go read, nice, nasty.
Yeah. And then even so, that still benefits Sherri, because everybody will watch. I mean, that episode would get more than Whitney Houston sitting down with Diane Sawyer. And I'm not going to gift you that, because low key, and although Sherri had absolutely nothing to do with Wendy being replaced, it's just human to feel slightly bitter or
Right.
or have some type of negative emotions about the bitch that's in your spot.
That's why I feel like people need to be a little bit easier on Wendy about what she says right now. If she is sick, A. B, can you imagine how that feels? Like the Wendy Williams show is being replaced with Sherri, who was your friend. You can't feel good about that. As much as that's your girl, you can't be happy. That's got to be hard. That's going to be heartbreaking. All right, y'all. We will see. I'm sure this is not the last we'll be talking about this.